Good morning, one and all. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to do this, and I've been meaning to do this. It's just that I literally kept forgetting, like other stuff kept coming up, and I was like, you know what? I was rearranging some stuff in the closet, and I found the long box. I also forgot which long box it was, and I couldn't remember them all, where I put them. But I managed to find all of them, and I decided, you know what? I'm gonna do a video that I've been wanting to do for a while. And what is that video? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be talking about my ranking for the Batman One Bad Day one-shots from worst to best. Now, this is just my personal opinion. If you think a book is higher or lower, that's totally fine. But personally, this is just my personal list, and I'm always excited to hear what you guys have to say on the rankings. I really loved, for the majority at least, the Batman One Bad Day books. I hope they come out with a second volume. I would personally like a second series. I would love to see characters like Killer Croc or Ventriloquist or Harley. Well, maybe Harley can. Well, it would be nice letter to Arlington Sorkin if Paul Dini did a Harley Quinn one. I take that. Yeah, if Paul Dini does it, then yeah, that'd be really nice. If there was a Harley Quinn one. Yeah. So let's get into it. So starting off, like I said, we're going worst to best, and yeah, the one that I really didn't like the most, I've thought about a lot, was Batman. It was the Two-Face issue. This was just every single Batman Two-Face story again, and there's nothing unique about it. It's just like, oh, Harvey's in there. Wait, no, he's not. It's really aggravating. It is honest to God aggravating, because it's like no writer knows how to tell a Two-Face story without telling the same fucking story over again. It wasn't just Mariko Tamaki, who I think is a good writer. I do think she's a good writer. I just am like, it's every Two-Face story ever, and it really just is just annoying. This is why I never I like Two-Face as a character, but he's not a favorite of mine. Like, you'll never see him in my top 10 favorite Batman villains, because there's no original story with him anymore. There's just the same goddamn story told over and over again. You could say, like, oh, they do the same story with every Batman villain, and to an extent you may be right, but there are other Batman stories where the villains get other things to do, and there's more complexities with them. Two-Face is just stuck in second fucking gear every time. I made an unintentional two pun. There you go. So yeah, there you go. At the bottom of the barrel. And this was the second one, so yeah, it was a big bump in the road from the beginning. So moving on. Next up, we have the Catwoman issue. The Catwoman issue, and I really feel bad because G. Willow Wilson is a really good writer. But yeah, this comic did nothing for me. Maybe it's because I'm not I like Catwoman, don't get me wrong. I do enjoy her and Bruce's relationship, but here it just feels like it's build up for a comic series that G. Willow Wilson wants to do. It really does feel like this isn't so much a one-shot as it is a comic that's meant to set up books for future stuff. And I don't want that. I want like a decent, solid one-shot explaining that. Also, I don't know what it is, but like it just felt like it's the same problem I had with that one, where that one had the whole thing of, problem with, it's a book locked in continuity. Same thing with this one. And not only that, it really did feel like we're treading over the same waters again with these characters. And I really wanted to like this one. G. Willow Wilson's a great writer. I love her work. This just did not feel like a strong suit for her. Yeah. So moving right along. Hang on. There we go. Yep, there we go. Anyway, I've kind of got some. I'm trying to work on the angles real quick. Don't you just love the professionalism of this channel? That's a resounding no. Anyway, so next up, we're moving on to Bane. The Bane issue was not good. I really love Joshua Williams as a writer. I think he's got a really good grasp on several characters. But this one I was really excited for, because I was curious of what you could do with Bane, and I really like the premise of it's an old man Bane story. But then it just retreads stuff. And also, while I do appreciate that it actually references things like it references things like the original Batman Venom story. Because remember, the Venom drug came way before Bane. But yeah, it does reference a lot of stuff that happened in the Batman Venom comic, which I appreciate. And it's a nice little Elseworld story, but the action in it does something that, and it's not a Josh Williams thing, it is a writer thing that bothers me to no end, where they like put a big panel of two characters fighting, and then they make the fighting sequence in a smaller panel so goddamn tiny that it's hard to look at. It's like that scene in Zoolander where it's like, what is this? A fighting sequence for ants? That's what it felt like. But yeah, so this one it does have some redeeming qualities. I did like the Old Man Bane kind of story to it, but and it does end in, I do like how it ends with Bane, but on a whole, this one's just kind of mediocre. I really debated on which one I didn't like more, the Catwoman one or the Bane one, and I know people really dug the Bane one. I just couldn't get into it. So those three were bad and just mediocre. The rest, from here on out, these are the ones I liked. And this was actually kind of hard to rank them. Starting off with the Mr. Freeze issue. The Mr. Freeze issue, again, does stuff of, we are retreading ground of what we're it's all for Nora and it's all for a good cause. But here, it really does feel like a Batman, like an episode of Batman the Animated Series. I also didn't like that Nora is treated like, oh, I never loved Nora, I was just obsessed with her, and this way I can keep as is. But it's like its own little one-and-done story. I do like the idea of this is an early Batman Dick Grayson Robin story, and the artwork's really good. I also really appreciate that this comic goes more into Freeze as a character. It actually helped change him. Like, you could make the argument that this is the story where Victor, like, changes as a person and how he feels about Nora. So I did like that. But again, it does the whole retreading ground thing. But the story's structured just a wee bit better, even if it's a little bit character assassination. But then again, no one's gonna fucking read this, and no writer's gonna look at this and go, oh, I guess that's canon for Mr. Freeze. No one's gonna, like, that's the thing, is like, no one's gonna look at this and go, oh, I guess this is canon for Mr. Freeze. I'll just make him a dick who's over-obsessed with his wife, like Scott Snyder did. No one's gonna bother with that. Everyone's gonna be like, no, I'm following the show. Anyway. Also, I gave this one a little more of a pass because this is right when Kevin Conroy had passed. So, yeah. Honestly, the more I think about it, though, it's kind of like I could interchange these two. So, but I think I like this a little more on just the animated feel of it, especially the ending. But yeah, the more I think about it now, and yeah, I'm changing opinions now. This is my channel, my rules. I could really just, it could be interchanged with Bane either way. But anyway, so now we move on to two that again, these ones these two, because I knew my top two favorite. These two, however, were like, which one do I like more? And this one I really like. Tom Taylor's Ra's al Ghul issue with artwork by Ivan Reyes. Tom Taylor and Ivan Reyes is such a fucking good pairing. I hope we get it again in the future. This does deal with Damian and his loyalties to Batman, but it is a Ra's al Ghul story, and really just kind of brings up all the points of, hey, wait a minute, Ra's al Ghul ain't that bad. Like, it really brings up the whole thing of, yeah, what Ra's al Ghul is doing is kind of like, yeah, you do root for him. Also, there's a sad moment with him and a wolf that broke my heart. If you read the comic, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's a solid story, and again, it makes you go, hey, wait a minute, he's right. And even Tom Taylor was like, hey, Ra's al Ghul, is he really a bad guy? I mean, he's an eco-terrorist, but like, do you see who he's killing in here? No one that's helping the planet. But yeah, Ra's al Ghul's still a dick, but like, here you kind of see where he's coming from, even if it's gone all wrong. But still, it's a solid book. Now we move on to the top three. Almost spoiled it right there. Yep, probably did. Anyway, so At number 3 of this book is the first book in this, Tom King's Riddler issue, with Gardis. I cannot pronounce that last name. Girdis? Mitch Girdis? Gerardus? I don't know. I don't fucking know. This was a solid start to the One Bad Day comic. This was a great story. While it does do something we saw in the Batman Joker War storyline, not Joker War, the War of Jokes and Riddles, excuse me. It is a solid book and shows how terrifying Edward Nygma is as a character. It really does feel like a solid, scary Riddler that shows like, yeah, he could be dangerous if he just didn't handicap himself with the Riddler story. It was a solid beginning. I really like Tom King when he's doing short stuff. I don't necessarily like his ongoings, although I am curious about Wonder Woman. I'm very interested to see where he'll go with that. But yeah, when you give Tom King like a short series, yeah, it's way better, and this was a product of that. Moving on to number 2. This was my favorite for the longest time till we got to number 1, which you've probably figured out by now. But The Penguin by John Ridley and Giuseppe Camuncoli. This was a great, this is basically Scarface, but with Penguin. It's a solid story, and the Penguin's my favorite Batman villain, and it really showcases how much of a threat he can be without any guns, and it's just his mind. It showcases why Penguin can be such a threat to people. But anyway, there's my number 2. And at number 1, we have Clayface by Colin Kelly and Jackson Lanning. And I'm not going to pronounce that name. I'm sorry. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to butcher that. I can't in good conscience butcher that name. But yeah, Clayface. Like I said, Penguin was my favorite for the longest time. Like, that was the thing, was Penguin, like, it's kind of like when I watch movies, it's like, all right, can this compare against the issue that the movie of the year, and can it knock it off? And Penguin was that comic that I was like, okay, this was good, but can it compare with the Penguin issue? And then we got to Clayface, the second to last, I think, yeah, it was the second to last book in the series. And this one was like right after Bane and Catwoman came out, and I was like, well, these things kind of are losing steam. I'm not really enjoying it. Like, they just feel mediocre, and just kind of like, eh. But then Clayface pulled me back, and this, again, it's like the Mr. Freeze issue, where it feels like something out of the animated series, but a little more adult. It focuses on Basil Carlo, the actor, and actually has a lot of strong words about the movie industry, and a few jabs at Warner Brothers too. So a lot of solid jabs at the movie industry, and it makes sense because Kelly and Lansing were script writers before they did this, so they know the beast, they know the movie beast, and to use Basil Carlo and remembering that he's an actor, which I think a lot of people forget, that's one of the things that make him so terrifying as a character. And there's some solid horror moments in here, like body horror moments with Clayface. And it ends on such a depressing note, too. It's that very animated series ending. This made me really love Kelly and Lansing as a writing duo, like Abnett and Lanning. Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning. When those guys were doing the Marvel Cosmic books. So it's a really great pairing. This made me go, yeah, I am all for whatever Colin Kelly and Jackson Lanning are doing from now on. I'm in after reading this book. So this was my undisputed favorite comic for this series. And like I said, I would really love to see DC do another One Bad Day series. Maybe get Killer Croc. I would really love to see Killer Croc get one. I would love to see Man-Bat, the Mad Hatter, Black Mask. We don't nearly need Joker for this, because the whole theme of it is, like, it's supposed to be the one bad day like Joker had. So we don't really need Joker in here. Harley would be fine, but I don't need Joker in this series. It would be better if we just focused on the other Bat villains. So yeah. So you guys tell me in the comments below, if you read the One Bad Day books, let me know in the comments below where they rank for you. in terms of like worst to best. Just comment below, let me know. Once again, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the multiverse.